The IMF issues a new warning about crypto assets as a national currency. Now, financial regulators around the world are picking up their guidance and recommendations regarding Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as they feel them gaining momentum, and at the same time, the traditional financial system melts and breaks down all around them. The IMF just released an updated article warning us that crypto assets being used as national currency have taken things a step too far. So in this video, we're going to look at what they said, their exact quotes, and look to read between the lines to understand what they're really saying and what, if anything, we should be doing to prepare for these changes and dangers they're warning about right now. So let's go. All right, so what did the IMF tell us about crypto assets that we need to be watching out for? Let's dig into a couple things. So the first thing they told us is that they are extremely volatile. Newsflash, we didn't know that, right? Apparently they need to protect us from the volatility. But let's take a look at that for a second. So they said that their value can be extremely volatile. Volatile meaning that things go up and down. The Bitcoin, for instance, this is a quote from them, reached a peak of $65,000 in April, but then crashed to less than half that value just 2 months later. And now it's already back up quite a bit. So yes, it's volatile. It went all the way to 65,000, crashed down, and now it's almost back up. But that's in 2 months. I have a news flash for you. If you're measuring your investments in weeks and months, you're gonna lose every single time. You need to be zooming out and looking at things in the long run. And so let's take a look at that. So this is a price of Bitcoin throughout the years. This is yearly candles instead of hourly or daily candles or weekly. These are yearly candles. And we can see here that the price of Bitcoin has continued to go up year after year. Only one single year had a lower low in that year. That's in 2015, but every single year it has gone up. And so if you zoom out and look at things over a longer period of time, you'll see a different picture. So yes, it is volatile when looked at weekly or daily. In this instance, it went from 65,000 at the time of this recording, it's down to about 40,000. It's still up about 300% in the last 12 months. So it depends on what time frame you're looking at, and so we need to understand that. Now the next thing is that they say that it's unlikely to catch on. This is their word. Here's an exact, this is actually a screen print from that. So they said crypto assets are unlikely to catch on in countries with stable inflation. Just that stable inflation is kind of a oxymoron in a sense. So inflation means that my money is losing value. It's losing purchasing power. I wouldn't call that stable. So it's kind of weird to call those two things. Then in countries with stable inflation, well, around the world, currencies are blowing up. Argentina, Venezuela, Lebanon, they're seeing massive inflation happening. And it says here is that would have very little incentive to price or save in a parallel crypto asset such as Bitcoin. So in nations with stable inflation, again, whatever that means, they'd have little incentive to save in a parallel system like Bitcoin. Well, saving is different than spending. And so saving would typically imply money I'm going to be putting away for a period of time. I don't need to use it tomorrow or next week. I'm saving it, right? So if we want to look at savings, we can go back and look at what would happen if I saved my money in Bitcoin versus saving my money in fiat. That's losing money nonstop. They also said that the use of globally recognized reserve currency such as the dollar or euro would be more alluring than adopting a crypto asset. So most people would rather put their savings in the dollar that's guaranteed to lose value, guaranteed, versus putting something in Bitcoin that has had 11 years of track record of going up. And they said that might catch on as a vehicle for unbanked people to make payments. So about 7.5 billion people in the world, 2 billion adults in the world have no access to the financial system. They don't have permission to join. So it might catch on as a vehicle for the unbanked people to make payments. In El Salvador, I just got back from El Salvador 2 days ago. And in El Salvador, a lot of people don't have banks because it costs anywhere from $25 to $50 a month to open a bank account. It's about half of what people make there. How can you spend half of your monthly income on a bank account? You can't. So it could work for the unbanked, like it's doing there, to make payments. But not to store value, because you'd rather use the dollar that's losing value on a regular basis. Let's take a look at that statement. This is from the Federal Reserve. This is the Fed data. This is the Consumer Price Index, the CPI. This is how they measure prices. So per the CPI, this is the inflation rate. So remember, inflation means your dollar is buying less. So you can see right here, this is where the dollar went off the gold standard. Inflation was pretty mellow until that point, and then it's basically gone straight up. It's actually about to go off the chart. So to their point, nations would rather hold their money in this that's losing value really, really fast instead of Bitcoin that's continued to go up in value every single year for 11 years. As a matter of fact, it's gone up 200% compounded annual growth rate every single year. In the last 12 months, it's up over 300%. They said, the other thing is that inflation is the real killer. So they're saying that other nations would rather hold their money in dollars, even though they're guaranteed to lose it with inflation rather than Bitcoin. So let's take a look at this. So the dollar lost purchasing power. Again, when the prices go up, it's not that they're going up in value. It takes more dollars to buy those things. The purchasing power of the dollar has gone down. If we look at the dollar compared to other assets, so priced in the S&P 500 and to stocks, equities, it's lost 91% of its purchasing power over 30 years. I'll pause for dramatic effect. It's lost 91% of its value in 30 years versus equities. It's lost 98% of its purchasing power in just 5 years versus Bitcoin, as we can see on this chart put together by Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. So again, would you rather hold your money in dollars that's lost 98% of its value or 91% of its value, or in something else that has been going up at 200% a year? Now, they also warned us, be careful. The IMF says that there's a problem with financial integrity. So without having robust anti-money laundering, AML, anti-money laundering laws, and combating the financing of terrorism, because that's horrible, measures, crypto assets can be used to launder ill-gotten money, fund terrorism, and evade taxes. This could pose risks to a country's financial system. So the couple $100 or the couple $1,000 you have is funding terrorism. Never mind the $400 million the Obama administration put on a plane in cash and flew to Iran, a country that funds terrorism, overnight. Never mind that $400 million that they sent directly to them. Your few $1,000 is the one funding terrorism, I suppose. Now, if that's really the problem, the crypto assets are going to cause that problem, then this article that came out last year is pretty interesting. So this came out September 20th, 2020. This was a massive research report that came out, the FinCEN files. FinCEN is financial enforcement. So it says global banks defy US crackdowns by serving oligarchs, criminals, and terrorists. The FinCEN files show trillions, 2 trillion, trillions in tainted dollars flow freely through major banks. So through this report, they showed how over $2 trillion US dollars have been laundered through the banks that they know of, knowingly. Not hidden, not through some criminal activity, through the banks. $2 trillion has been laundered through them, which is many times larger than Bitcoin itself. But never mind that, because without robust anti-money laundering laws like the banks have, then Bitcoin could be used to fund terrorism. No, I'm sorry, that's dollars that are being done for that. They also said, this one is a crack up, I really love this one. They said that another danger of using crypto assets is that you and I, we would lose productive time. Their quote. They said here, the most direct cost, I love this one. The most direct cost of widespread adoption of a crypto asset such as Bitcoin, if goods and services were priced in both a real currency like dollars and a crypto asset like Bitcoin, households, this would be horrible, households and businesses would spend significant time and resources choosing which money to hold, as opposed to engaging in productive activities. Think of all that time you could be creating more wealth, creating goods and services, you could be doing productive activities, but you're going to waste all that time you could be spending because you're going to try to decide, should I hold dollars or Bitcoin? Okay, well, let's take a look at this. This is a chart from a previous video I just did. Editor can link it up here. They're stealing your time. So if you want to watch that video, I'd recommend it. And this shows that the productive time is being stolen from you by the central banks. It's not that you're confused which one to hold. They're literally stealing your time with inflation. So this is a chart. So this is how long it takes to save for a house. And so in the 1950s, it took 2.5 years of your life, 2.5 years of your life to save for the median home. In 2021, it now takes 7 years for you to save for the median home. Instead of 2.5 years, it now takes 7 years. They have stolen that time from you through inflation, all right? But never mind that. They say that your productive time is going to be lost because you don't know if you should hold dollars or Bitcoin. Pretty comical, if I have to say so myself. Then finally, they say that having crypto assets as a currency, a national currency, would cause them to lose their bite. They said that a monetary policy would lose bite. They would lose their teeth. They would have they wouldn't be able to dig in and enforce their actions. They'd lose their bite. Central banks cannot set interest rates on a foreign currency. Usually when a country adopts a foreign currency as its own, it imports the credibility of the foreign monetary policy. Another way to say that would be not that it imports the credibility, but rather it lays down its sovereignty. So my country is going to adopt the currency of another country, and thereby whatever they decide to do with their currency is what we do. We've given up our sovereignty. So it's not that. They would lose their bite, yes. That's a good thing. We want their bite to be taken away. We don't want to be subject to the whims of the central bankers. That's the whole point. Thanks for doing our marketing for us. Because the central bankers cannot set interest rates. They shouldn't. The free market should decide what the interest rates are. If there's more lenders than there are borrowers, interest rates come down. If there's more borrowers than there are lenders, interest rates go up. The free market should set interest rates, not central bankers. They should not be setting interest rates. This is a good thing. They're doing the marketing for us. So what's interesting is as we see more and more people wanting to crack down, Senator Elizabeth Warren just said that we don't want our hands to be we don't want our policies to be in the hands of shadowy software coders. Instead, we'd rather have them in the hands of the shady central bankers. Exactly. So every time they come out and warn us of something, to me, it's like they're doing marketing for us. They're telling us they're going to lose their bite. Central bankers won't be able to set interest rates, and oh no, it will go back to the free market setting rates like it should be. Let me know what you think. Does this scare you? Does this make you think that crypto assets like Bitcoin should not be adopted, should not be used? Or does this only further prove the use case? Leave me a comment and let me know what you think about the IMF's warning they just put out for you and I. Does it make you want to buy or does it make you want to sell? Let me know in the comments, of course. Give me a thumbs up on this video if you like it. If you don't like the video, I don't know why, but give me a thumbs down. Let me know in the comments why you gave it a thumbs down. Ask me questions. I love to go back and forth with each one of you in the comments. And that's what I got for you today. Short and sweet to your success. I'm out.